support as a channel member, Chris Spencer. Well, after slightly more episodes than originally planned when I started the series, today we get our first Champions League campaign of the Pentagon Challenge underway. And it's against some very familiar opposition, Chiangrai United, who we faced multiple times when we were still working in Thailand. In fact, I think they were the first big club we ever played in an away game in the Cup when we were down in the Thai lower leagues. So exciting times, and also exciting news about Champions League squad registration. Because contrary to my understanding of it, it looks like there isn't a limit on foreign players in the Champions League squad. You're allowed to register a maximum of 35 players, minimum of 18, but there's no nationality restriction. It looks like the only place the nationality restriction comes in is in the match day squad. So in your match day squad, you can have no more than 6 foreign players, and at least one of them has to be Asian foreign. So to me, that means if we had to, we could register like 10 foreign players in the squad, just only use 6 of them at a time. So that is massive compared to what I thought the situation was, and is going to make squad building that little bit simpler, hopefully. We showed the Champions League draw yesterday. This is who we've got. I think the toughest opposition is likely to be Chiangrai United, who are currently sat 8th in the Thai league this season. So, oh, that's just sad. The poor old mackerel. I mean, they got promoted again, but they are now rock bottom. The Gamecocks are above them in the league, though. So I would like to think we should be able to beat Chiangrai United. The other two that we've got to play against, Albirex Niigata from Singapore, and Pyongyang City Sports Group from North Korea. The North Korean teams playing the champions. Have we got an away game in North Korea? Well, that's going to be the most interesting Google Maps away. I can't call it an away day. That's what Jack calls it. Excursion. We're off to North Korea. Well, that's going to be the second match of today's episode. We're off to Pyongyang, boys and girls. But first, let's beat Chiangrai. As you can see, we're still doing very well in the league. We're kind of just letting the league take care of itself now on autopilot. But yeah, let's go beat Chiangrai United and then get ready for our trip to North Korea. I don't know why I've got Wakahara in goal. Let's move Umura back in. It looks like actually Paskev has hit selection advice and gone with a semi-rotated team. So we also don't have a prelay in the team, which seems like a bit of an oversight as well. So let's get him in as well. And I think we go with this. So Uemura in goal, a back four of Farias, Yamamoto, Aprile and Matsuyama. Inamura at the base of the midfield, Solano and Hidaka ahead of him, Skunas on the left, Yepes on the right, and Okada up front. We've waited a long, long time for this, but it is our first ever Champions League match of the save. And we are going into this with high hopes, big expectations. We are the best team by a long way in the best league in Asia, reputation-wise. So despite this being our first ever Champions League campaign, not just for the save, but as a football club, Osaka have never been in the Champions League before. We are going into it with not just the hope, the expectation that we're going to win the Champions League this season, or at the very least, run through to the final. Because the way the Champions League works, we have the East section and the West section. There should be nobody in the East capable of beating us. The first time we'll have to come up against a Saudi Arabian super rich club will be the final if we get there. And because of those restrictions on using foreign players, even if they've got a mega team full of Premier League rejects and Brazilians, they're only going to be able to use 5 of them in their actual match day squads. So that does theoretically give us an advantage even against a top Saudi Arabian team, because we can play our normal 11, whereas they're going to be restricted on the foreign players that they can use. So fingers crossed, we are in for a fun campaign, but obviously it does need to start off nicely. I wonder how many of the Thai fans who've made the journey remember me from all those years ago when I came to Chiangrai United in an away game and we got absolutely battered, but we had a lovely day out and it was our first time playing in a big stadium. I remember it. I'm sure you remember it as well. They're going to get a very different experience out of me today, hopefully. And I think Okada has scored the first ever goal in the history of Cerezo Osaka in the Champions League. 1-0. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Pyongyang are also winning. Do you genuinely get North Korean teams in the Asian Champions League, or is that just because I've unlocked loads of leagues? Have I made that happen? I am genuinely fascinated. I mean, my knowledge of world politics is minimal at best. So maybe things have changed in North Korea since I last saw them in the news. But my understanding is it's quite surprising that we're going to be allowed to take a football team there. Our card has picked up a knock, so Shimura is going to come on up front. We did have the option of bringing on Meta, but we have just spent £3 million on Shimura, so we should probably use him. He's on. Only 1-0 at half-time. We should probably be doing a little better than that, but we're not going to worry too much. XG is looking solid. It's just nerves. It's stage fright on our first ever match on this stage. It looks like we've filled our stadium, so that's a nice thing. But it is Chiangrai who've got the ball here at the start of this second half, but we are putting some pressure on them as they try and pass the ball out from the back. And they've actually made it around our boys, but Matsuyama is just there very comfortably. I mean, he's a very tidy player. I do like Matsuyama. He was one of our first big signings as part of the rebuild. And without ever being spectacular, just kind of sets the tone. Shimura is in here, and Shimura has scored, and that one did look offside. The referee is checking it once again. I suspect this one's about to get chalked off, but maybe the referee's on our side. No, he's not. It's been disallowed. We are still 1-0 ahead, but obviously we would very much like a second goal. Just relieve some of the pressure. That was close. That had the little flashing lines. That was touch and go. If we concede a goal here, this is problematic because in this Champions League group, only one team from each group qualifies. So you have to finish top of the group to get through. So any dropping points, if there's another strong team in the group, which Pyongyang appear to be, they're winning. So, if we drop points at home, that's a problem. Shimura's got in behind again. Yepes is up supporting him. He doesn't need him. And this time Shimura is onside and does have his first Champions League goal, his 8th goal of the season. And is that 8 since joining us? That's very impressive if it is. I don't think it is. I think that's just 8 this season. On the whole, it's a lovely ball over the top from Solano, and Shimura he's got a lot of pace. He was never going to get caught there. And that is 2-0. And that should be us comfortable, you would think. Aprile is always going to win that header. Yepes across to Solano, who's going to look to dink that ball over the top again, I suspect. In fact, plays it back to Yamamoto, who gives it back to Solano, who this time gives it to Skunas, whose spot in this squad is under threat. He needs some big Champions League performances to convince me to keep him around, although with our revelation as to how Champions League squad registration works, if we can convince him, it's fine, you don't need to be registered in the domestic squad, just stick around for the Champions League. I doubt we're going to get away with it, but we can try, and we could keep a couple of extra foreigners knocking about for the Champions League campaign. Or, if nothing else, just keep them happy for 6 months, because this Champions League campaign ends midway through next season. So we could just win it and disappear halfway through the season and head off to Africa, which is definitely the plan. We don't have any intention of hanging around here in Japan once this Champions League is won. We need to go and get Africa conquered and then head over to the Americas. The only rule I think I've got in my brain is we do Europe last. Because once you've won the European Champions League, everything else becomes a little bit too easy because your reputation is so stupidly high. So I think we probably go to Europe last. But after this, I mean, it could be South America, could be North America, could be Africa. I'm leaning towards Africa because I suspect it's the lower reputation teams, and I don't know what my reputation is going to be coming out of this. I know when I came here to Japan, I did apply for jobs in Egypt and South Africa and just didn't even get a look in. So it might be, we might just have done enough here in Japan to justify one of the top teams in one of the big African nations to take a chance. I mean, I think we probably are looking at Egypt or South Africa, I suspect, but I might be getting slightly ahead of myself, but we are looking pretty comfortable here today. 2-0, never really been under any threat. Chiangrai haven't had a shot on target. We probably should have been a little bit more clinical in front of goal into the 87th minute. We've let them have a corner. So let's not give ourselves a nervy last few minutes. We just want to be efficient going through this Champions League group stage. And luckily their shooting is, I mean, that was pathetic. They missed by 1,000 miles. And yeah, that should be a 2-0 win. Wrapped up. I'm going to go and play a couple of league games off camera. And then this is something I didn't think I'd say on YouTube. I guess I'll meet you in North Korea. Let's see if we can find it on Google Maps. Well, here we go. Today I learned you can see North Korea on Google Maps. So I think this is where Pyongyang City play. It's called the City Stadium in Football Manager, but a quick Google tells me we're looking for the King Il-sung Stadium in Pyongyang. If we have a look at that from this aerial view, it looks like a very snazzy looking stadium. Ample parking out the front and in a nice wooded location with a cinema in the woods right nearby. Let's have a little, oh no, not over there. Let's have a look at Google Street View. You can actually do a street view. There's only one street view for miles around, but it is from in the stadium. There you go. This is the interior of a football stadium in North Korea. It seems to also double up as an athletics stadium. The photo is from 2014, so it's quite old. There's not a lot of people here, but these guys look like they're having a lovely old time. I mean, look at him. He's having a great afternoon. And there is a football match going on, and also somebody injured down there, I think. But there you go. That's where we're playing. Lovely. And actually, on closer inspection, it seems I don't have the North Korean leagues loaded, so I can only assume the North Korean teams do legitimately play in the Asian Champions League. So again, another thing I've learnt today. This is the team we're sending to North Korea. It's Uemura in goal, a back four of Farias, Aprile, Takasu and Matsuyama. Ogihara at the base of the midfield with Solano and Hidaka ahead of him. Skunas on the left, Yepes on the right. Okada up front. We have knocked Vissel Kobe out of the J-League Cup in the in-betweeny bit. So we've got a cup final coming up. We've also got an Emperor's Cup semi-final against rivals Gamba Osaka coming up. But as you know, this is all about the Champions League. And if we pick up a result here, it's slightly early to say the group is already won. But this is the only other team that seems half decent. They won their first match as well. If we can come to their place and beat them in front of what is presumably going to be a hostile crowd, we set ourselves up nicely. And less than a minute on the clock, and Aprile scores. He's 6'4", and you can't teach that. 14 goals for him this season now. They all looked an awful lot like that one. And he can deliver on the big stage as well in the Champions League, which is jolly nice to see. I think in the interests of not upsetting the locals, we're all right if we just end it here 1-0. We'll just come here, take the 3 points, then we'll be off if it's all right. Back to the airport, yeah. We'll be good. It'll be fine. I'm not worried. Are you worried? You shouldn't be worried. I'll be worried if we win like 8-0. Then it starts to become a little bit of a problem. I think the crowd will probably be siphoned out of the stadium if we go more than a goal or two ahead. Right, Ogihara to Farias at left back. Don't get too ahead of yourselves. I mean, we're still only 2 minutes on the clock. We don't need to score again just yet. Ogihara into Hidaka, who shoots from range. Less than 3 minutes on the clock. We're 2-0 up. And I'm a little bit worried. Lads, I might meet you at the airport. You look like you've got this. You've probably got this covered without me. I might just, yeah, I'll go and I'll get us checked in. I'll save us a spot at Burger King. Yeah? I mean, they might sell out of overpriced water at WH Smith's. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Please, boys. It's 6 minutes gone. We're 3-0 up. I mean, it bodes very well for our Champions League campaign if we get to play in the next match. Right. Oh, for goodness. We might actually, we might not see the whole of this episode, whole of this match in the episode, because if we're going to win 15-0, it's going to be a very, very long video. 8 minutes gone, we're 4-0 up. I think we're quite good. I certainly don't think I need to show you any more Champions League group games. We might focus in for tomorrow's episode on doing the domestic treble, because we're well clear at the top of the league. We've got those 2 cups that we were just looking at before the match. So we might just have a little bit of a day off of Champions League focus for tomorrow's episode and win ourselves 3 more trophies, because that would be super. And then we can be back for the transfer window and the Champions League knockout rounds, because we have got some talent coming in. We've got quite a lot of pre-arranged transfers. So the transfer window, we've already made a little bit of a start on. And I'm toying with the idea, bear with me on this one, because I haven't checked that I actually know how to do it, but I'm toying with the idea of live streaming the transfer window, both here and on Twitch simultaneously. I've never done it before. So there's a chance I won't get it set up for this one, but some of you may have noticed I've not really been streaming on Twitch very much lately. And the honest reason why is Football Manager is pretty much dead on Twitch at this point. I've got a video coming out of the weekend where I'll talk about it a little bit more. My thoughts on, Priele's got a hat trick. My thoughts on Football Manager content and the next 6 months or so while we wait for FM26. But I think we need to just shuffle things around a little bit. We're obviously going to be carrying on with the Pentagon. This is going to be staying 5 days a week until its bitter conclusion, but we might mix in a little bit of live streaming to it. Maybe try a little bit of YouTube live streaming, maybe try some different types of content as well. The kind of stuff that is, we may as well experiment now. We're 7-0 up after less than 20 minutes. I'm talking about the future as if we're going to see it. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, because we might well do that. And certainly my plan going forward is, if I'm not going to have a standalone Twitch save, I will miss live streaming. I enjoy the direct interaction of live streaming. So I want to find the right balance of kind of mixing it within the content without having to artificially push a Twitch only save that is not getting very much interest. So I'm thinking, and we did this, if we go back like 7-8 years ago when I was first starting out, I did do live streamed transfer windows here on YouTube. So it's not something I'm completely alien to. I don't remember why I stopped. So we might be about to learn that after the first one, but I think dual streaming is probably a good idea. Get a little bit of YouTube streaming experience in and just see how we go. Well, who's up for a bit of experimentation? Let me know down in the comments. We're going to have 6 months of experimenting and figuring things out while we wait for FM26, because please, for goodness sake, they are going to be releasing FM26, right? My word. Right, we're 7-0 up. I don't know that we need to see much more of this match. I think you know where it's going. I might, rather than just sitting here waffling, which is what I'll do for the rest of the episode. See, this is that experimentation, trying new content things that I was talking about. You don't need to sit and watch us win 18-0. I think at 8-0, I'll meet you at the end of the match and show you what the final score was, because nobody needs to sit through this. Well, if you didn't believe we were ready to win the Champions League before, you should probably believe it now. I've never seen match stats like this in a competitive match, I don't think. I mean, maybe some Club World Cup games in old versions of Football Manager, but we have absolutely been relentless. Hidaka's just got his double hat-trick from central midfield with an absolute stunner. That is his 6th goal, our 13th. But have a look at these match stats. Look at that. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like it. It's we've been quite good. We've played quite well. I think we've got a good chance of, if this was the second best team in the group, I think we're definitely winning the group. Makes me think Chiangrai might be the second best team in the group. So that other team is really rubbish. That's 7 now for Hidaka. Talk about stat padding. Cristiano Hidaka knocking about out there. Goodness me. But yeah, 14-0 now. And I think we're going to win the Champions League, which is going to be nice. I'm going to enjoy that. This is probably Hidaka's final season as well. So what a lovely way to go out. Probably the greatest individual performance of his entire career. But talking of career, we made it out. Huzzah! We're back in Japan. We only got 40 grand for that. Goodness me. But yeah, that was quite impressive, wasn't it? Shall we have a look at the group standings after 2 games? I think we might be doing okay. I'm comfortable with how this is going. Tomorrow, we win some trophies. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.